Is VR dead? In the past few months, there have been multiple videos that have been commenting on whether or not the current wave of virtual reality is already on the decline or if it's nearing some form of death. As a VR enthusiast, I'll give you my take on the matter, not just from a question of now, but more towards where I think the future of this technology is actually destined to go. What does it even mean, though, for VR to be dead or dying here? It's not like the technology is suddenly going to be lost to time or anything, and last I checked, you could build your own VR headset for less than $20 if you've got a smartphone and some patience. So what's the hubbub about VR being dead going on about? Well, it's the money, really, that's got the question floating around. Is VR dead for people who want to make money on the medium? That's a question with a bit more teeth in it that's actually worth addressing. So let's just have a look at the latest facts. Based on this article by VentureBeat, who received their data from SuperData, VR saw a growth of over 30% in revenue year over year in 2018, with hundreds of thousands of PlayStation VR, Oculus Go, Oculus Rift, and HTC Vive headsets being sold during the holiday. Those aren't the numbers that indicate a completely dead market, but for the hardware sector, at the level of major corporations like Sony, Facebook, and HTC, these numbers pale in comparison to the sales of things like gaming consoles, smartphones, tablets, and laptops. If you were an investor or a reporter looking for the next big thing, these aren't the kind of numbers that inspire a vote of confidence in a new medium. Oftentimes, a lot of investors in media are looking for things that explode onto the scene and shake the landscape. Products like the Nintendo Wii, the iPhone, and the iPad frequently had tons of buzz made about them and sales to back up their commotion. For investors, these sales translated to rapid rises in the stock value of the companies at play, which meant a large and rapid return on their investment. The relative hotness of these subjects also serves as a source of plenty of articles and coverage for reporters in the media through the coverage of their platforms, the sales, and their impact on culture. So despite the fact that VR has had a healthy amount of growth in the past year, 30% isn't the planet-shaking zeitgeist that many in the industry were hoping and preparing themselves for, which makes it a disappointment in their eyes. With a social media climate where even the biggest stories have a shelf life of only a few days at a time, does this really mean that VR is just dead? Well, no, of course not. Just because something isn't the center of attention now doesn't mean that it can't regain that attention again in the future. And for a new medium like VR, who's yet to truly reach its full potential, long-term investors in the medium have plenty to look forward to in the future. We already know that a major new device in the Oculus Quest is going to be entering the playing field this very year, and we can already see signs of future improvements in the technology that are going to change the game for this medium, whether that be foveated rendering through eye tracking, variable focus displays, or 5G connectivity. There are still lots of problems left to be tackled with the industry that merit some concern, such as the VR locomotion problem, the lack of a standardized haptic solution, and the isolation the technology creates in a world of hyperconnectivity. But the technology itself is in no way on its way out or back into the freezer like it was back in the 90s. VR is here to stay. Its only fault being that it's not that popular.